Hey there, Canaan Cougars. It's Mr. Robert, and we're back with American Music History Lesson number 2. Let's see if I got that right. American Music History Lesson number 2. And before we get started, I want to let you know real quickly that I still miss you. I can't help it. I hope you miss me too. I miss our time in class, but I hope these will help, that you'll feel a little bit like we're together, and I hope that you'll get some great information. I got a chance to see Mrs. Pennington the other day, and we are working on some really cool plans for the new year. So when we get back to class, it won't be too long. When we get back after summer break, and after all this other is healed up a bit, we will be unveiling some cool stuff. I'm actually going to build something for you guys, so I'm excited about that. All right, let's get to it. Where did we leave off? We talked about the 1950s. Let's look at that like a brick in the wall. We're building a wall, and the wall is American music history, or American music. And it's 1950s rock and roll, the likes of Elvis Presley, Chuck Berry, oh God, the Everly Brothers, on and on it goes. But we talked about Buddy Holly, one of the pioneers of rock and roll. We're going to go back well before rock and roll now. We're going to go back to a music that has really touched almost every other music form, and that is the blues. And that's why I've got this out. Old Red right here. The blues. Now, blues music goes well before recorded music. In fact, it goes back to a time when it was really a cultural kind of storytelling. Men and women working long, hard days in the fields. Now, blues is most commonly accredited to African Americans, and I think it's like a cultural gift to the rest of the world. And I think this is something we got to remember. And one of the reasons we respect cultures and people of all different walks of life. Blues is one of the great musical gifts. It has touched jazz and rock, and it has given offshoots into rhythm and blues and Motown, the soul music that we've enjoyed, and it's all been informed by this original blues music. So, you know, before recorded works, late 1800s, men and women working long, hard days in the fields, and they're singing these songs, and then you move through time into the 1920s and the advent of recorded music. And now you've got these guys going around on acoustic guitars. It's before the electric guitar, you got to remember. And they're telling stories. And often, like the name, the blues, like the genre speaks of an emotion. That's if blues is anything, it's an emotion. And yes, it's often the blue notes or the sad notes, the... Somebody loan me a dime. I want to call my old town used to be. Somebody loan me a dime. You know, so you've got to imagine that this is, it's not limited to sadness, but it takes its deepest roots into the feelings of hurt and deep emotion, and that's what's so beautiful and brilliant about the blues. Now, through the years, we get through the 1920s, 30s, 40s, and we get into and we go through Leadbelly. Check out these names, Leadbelly. In fact, let me show you a couple of pictures before we move too fast here. These are blues pioneers here. See a couple of these are the earliest pioneers of blues. You know, Blind Lemon Jefferson. These great names: Blind Lemon Jefferson, Leadbelly, Blind Willie McTell. Then we move into the 1950s, and these rock and roll cats like Chuck Berry are grabbing, they're grabbing these blues riffs, and putting it into rock and roll. By the 60s, you've got guys like Jimi Hendrix, who, although he's African American, he certainly was born well past the Depression era, but he took his forefathers' music and turned it into something altogether new, and I can't even begin to touch. Anything that he does, it's just off the, it's out of this world. It's off the hook, as they say. So take these names and do your own research, by the way. I want you to look into Leadbelly or Robert Johnson. Of course, Jimi Hendrix. We've talked about Jimi Hendrix in class. There are women who are incredible blues guitarists and blues singers, both black and white. I mean, for example, Bonnie Raitt. Bonnie Raitt, a white woman, one of the fine contemporary blues guitarists. Susan Tedeschi. You got to check out Susan Tedeschi. So, there's all kinds of styles within blues. There's B.B. King. He does this incredible kind of one-note thing. This, let me see where... and then there's this other kind of Texas blues. I mean, there are as many offshoots from blues, more than I can count. And that's what's so fascinating and why I want to encourage you to do your own research. The thing about looking into music, or dare I say studying music, is that it doesn't feel like schoolwork to me. It's a great pleasure. You'll find one thing leads to another, and it enriches your understanding of music. I know I've had to simplify it here today, and I can't begin to, I don't consider myself at all a blues player. I mean, I understand what they're doing. Oh, and there, I should not forget. Bottleneck blues, which I'm not really doing much with, but it's a type of slide guitar, and blues can be very primitive, and that's another beautiful thing about the musical form. Is it's very, very, it only requires the one thing that is constant, and that is the emotion. So I'll end it there today. Really, this is something you have to look into yourself, but let me tell you that it's really exciting, and I want you to check out B.B. King, Jimmy Reed, Buddy Guy, Leadbelly, Robert Johnson, Bonnie Raitt, on and on, Eric Clapton. Check them out. You're going to find a whole world of music out there, and it all goes back to the blues. So there we are, American Music Lesson number 2. Hope you have a great day. And take care of yourselves, and we'll see you soon, okay? Bye-bye.